Okay, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a breakdown prediction video on UFC Fight Night, JDM versus Prates. I mean, this fight night's gonna be great. I think just good names all throughout the card, up and comers all throughout the card. Every fight has an Australian in it, which is cool for the Australians. And the only thing that sucks about this card is that the prelims start at 3 a.m. and the main card starts at 6 a.m. Now, I will say, I am one of those people that, like, I'm from America, so, like, I have an American bias. Like, every card almost is favored to an American time slot. So I'm perfectly fine with a few cards, if one card a month or if a few cards a year we're at like this time, just for the foreign fans. And, like, I don't personally care that much. I think it's cool that they're getting some cards at their night kind of prime time slot. So I will be watching this whole card as well. So if you care to see my recap and reaction to the full card. It actually should be up right after, because usually I don't put them up. I don't put them up until a day after, but that's only because the cards usually end decently late where I'm at. So, I mean, this is going to be ending in the middle of the day, so I'll be able to put my recap out right after. So make sure you guys check that out on Saturday. And I will have a video going up tomorrow as well. I think I'm going to be doing a video where I do a tier list, another tier list video, but this time I'm going to be putting all the ranked fighters into a tier list and ranking them on how happy I would be if they were champion. So that's going to be a fun video that I have for tomorrow. But let's go ahead and get into this breakdown and prediction video. This is a stacked card, honestly. There's a lot of good fights on this card. We're starting off with Dom Marfan versus Cody Steele. Don Marfan, coming off of a win, and he was on road to UFC as well, and it was a good win that he had. It was kind of a brawl. It was back and forth, kind of, and it was a fun fight. That was on the Lopez and Volk 2 card in Australia, and he's on a good streak as well. His only recent he has two losses, and they're both to Quill and Salkill. So. On the regional scene. So I mean that kind of shows you, and Quill and Southfield's in the co-main event. So we will get to that, but I think Don Marfan's a fun prospect, up and coming, only 26 years old. Cody Steele's is a guy that a lot of people like as well. He lost the wrong shoe, which isn't necessarily a bad loss, and it was kind of a brawl, and he's really not a striker in a sense. He's 0-3-1 in the UFC. It's I don't even know if that's true. That's just what it says. But yeah, he's more of a UFC BJJ guy, and he's has that BJJ base, and he's actually a favorite in the betting odds I just saw on my app here. So that's a little strange. But I think with saying that, I think Don Marfan's going to get the victory here. I have Don Marfan winning by decision. We seen Cody Steele in a brawl his last fight, and we seen Don Marfan in a brawl in his last fight. I'm just gonna lean with Don Marfan because he came out on top of his brawl, and he is a good striker. Like, he's a lot better striker than Cody Steele, and I think he'll be able to do okay on the ground if it goes there. Like, Cody Steele, obviously just a primarily BJJ type of guy. But, I mean, if that's really your base in MMA, it's not really the best base to have. Like, it's definitely, like, a good base to have. You see guys like Charles Oliveira and guys like that who are able to get so many submissions, like, after getting knocked down. And it's definitely not, like, the best base to have, though, especially if you're going up against a primary striker. So I'm going to go with Don Marfan to win this one by decision. As we move on to the next fight, we have Jonathan McAuliffe versus Thimba Garumbo. This one, I think, is also a pretty easy one. I think McAuliffe, a lot younger, and he's kind of got that prospect kind of feel. He didn't look great in his last fight against Oban Elliott. That's a great win for him. He was kind of losing on the feet, and like on the feet, he just throws wild. Like he just throws. He's just pretty. He's a lengthy guy. I mean, but I mean, Thimba is bigger actually. He's taller and he's got the same reach. So we'll see how he looks against a guy kind of his size. But I think Mikhailov just offers you so much more, right? And then like Garimbo is, just kind of not all that great. He's 35. I mean, um, last two losses, Jeremiah Wells and Vincent Luque, which Vincent Luque is not a bad loss, but he kind of got destroyed. But his best win's probably Nico Price. Like, is that really like a great win to have? Like, Jonathan Mikhailov has a better win than that this year. So I think Jonathan Mikhailov's going to get this one done. I have a second round sub, but either way it goes, I think Mikhailov ends up getting it done. As we move on to this fight here, we have Ben Johnston making his debut against Wes Schultz. Like Ben Johnston, no idea anything about him. He's 5-1. He's from Australia. He's making his debut at 35. Clearly, he had some different type of background before MMA. I'm assuming because he's 35 and he only has 6 pro fights. But I mean, Wes Schultz kind of isn't all that great. He's really kind of just a good submission artist. We've seen his striking just not be good in his debut against Damian Pinas, but he got a sick submission on the Contender Series. And I think like Wes Schultz, like a lot of people don't like Wes Schultz, which is fine. It's just it's hard for me to pick Ben Johnston when I know nothing about him. His picture's not even on here. I know he's 35, and I know he's 5-1. He is the betting favorite. People probably just banking on that upside. He has TKO finishes in his career, but he also has a few subs. I think Wes Schultz. I'm gonna have Wes Schultz winning this by decision. I mean, it could be sub. It's probably not going to be knockout, and it's probably not going to go Wes Schultz's way, honestly. But I just think Wes Schultz is going to get a victory here. If he can't beat a guy like Ben Johnston, who's making his debut and hasn't even been doing MMA, for that long to where he doesn't have that many fights, it's gotta be in the end for Wes Schultz. He gets that win on Contender Series and then loses pretty easily to Damian Pinas, and they're both from the same year of Contender Series. Like, I don't know, it was a rough showing for him, but I'm gonna ride with him. I'm gonna hope that he can pull this out against Ben Johnston. I got it by decision. As we move on to Colby Thickness versus Vince Morales. I know a lot of people love Colby Thickness. He's kind of like, an up-and-coming bantamweight that has a decent amount of fans. His only losses to Alexandre Topuria. Obviously, Colby Thickness trains with Volk, and that was a whole storyline going into Thickness and Alexander Topuria's fight. But yeah, I mean, just 9 years younger, at a good age, especially for up-and-coming prospects. Coming off of a win in his last fight in September. And, Morales is on a 3-fight skid. Raul Rojas Jr., isn't a bad loss. I'm not a big fan of Raul Rojas Jr., but it's not a bad loss, I guess. Elijah Smith, not a bad loss. But, it's just kind of tough with him. He's 3-8 in the UFC. He's got 11 fights, in the UFC, which is pretty long, long career, but 3-5 in them, right? Or 3-8, so 11 fight career. I think Colby Thickness is going to definitely pull this one out, and this will probably be the last time we see Vince Morales. I think Colby Thickness by decision. Vince Morales has lost all of his last 3 fights by decision, and Colby Thickness in the UFC so far has went to decision both times. I think decision's a safe pick, is a good pick. What's the betting odds looking like? Thickness, it's really almost a pick'em, which is kind of crazy. I thought people were more highly on Colby Thickness. Maybe that's just more of the fan base, not the betting odds, but interesting. But I think Colby Thickness will pull this one out for sure with Volk in his corner. And then we have Jacob Malkoun versus GM3. Before I even say anything, I would GM3 is one of those guys I'm never going to pick. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. I mean, yeah, some of his losses are actual good guys. Like Kyle Dawkins, like most recently, that's not a horrible loss. He's fighting Bo Nickel on the Freedom 250 card, the White House card. Michael Olajaychek, not a bad loss, honestly. It's really not. Brad Tavares, that's not even that bad of a loss. And then RDR, not a bad loss. He has a win over Edmund Shabazian, which is actually aging pretty well for him. I mean, even Malkoun, I mean, has a loss to Cody Brundage, which I feel like is pretty bad. But he's on a 2-fight win streak. He beat Torrance Finney. Um, that was back at the Diego Lopez card. Took his O, which a lot of people were happy about. And then Andre Petrosky also beat him as well. But I mean, there's not a lot to say about this one. These guys are two like primary ground guys. Like the reach and the height's not going to be too much of a disadvantage for Jacob Malkoun because like GM3's no threat on the feet. But I mean, I just would never pick GM3 here. Yeah, Malkoun is literally a minus 1200 right now. So I'm just gonna ride with Malkoun here. Malkoun, I think he's decent, nothing crazy, but I think he'll definitely get the win over GM3. And then I could see GM3 leaving the gloves out there. And if he doesn't, then he's probably just gonna get cut. But long career in the UFC, just no longer able to even scrape out victories. I don't think I'd be super surprised if he won. This is probably one of my locks of the card. I have Malkoun by decision in that one. As we move on to Junior Tafa. Like this card just has so many like shitty fighters on it, and we will get to even more shitty fighters on the main card, which is crazy to say. Like there's so much shit. Like if Junior Tafa comes out and gets a win over Kevin Christensen, hey, I'll be happy for him, honestly. And I think he could. Junior Tafa's not good by any means, but like Kevin Christensen got pretty much knocked out and then subbed. They got on it as a sub, but I mean he's so chinny, and Junior Tafa is just a straight power guy. Like he's gonna go straight for straight power shots. I could see a world where Tafa chins him. I mean he chinned Billy Alcana, and it kind of almost looked like he was gonna win that fight, but then obviously Billy comes back and ends up beating him, and that's also Kevin Christensen's last fight too, which he lost as well. This one's a tough one. I mean, Kevin Christensen's just way bigger, 5-inch reach, 4-inch height advantage. I mean, it's just gonna be so tough for me to ever pick Junior Tafa unless he comes out and gets a win, and then maybe I'll look at him differently. But I just don't see how he's even in the UFC anymore. He's just not all that good. He's just not all that good, and I guess we'll see. But Tafa's a betting favorite, which is a little crazy for Junior Tafa to be a betting favorite. But that just goes to show Kevin Christian is not all that good. So, but I am going to pick him by first round knockout. So let's hope that happens. But as we move on to the feature prelim of the night, this is actually a pretty good fight. I'm a big fan of Cam Rousden. I always have been. Maybe because we have the same name. I don't know. But ever since I watched him on Contender Series, and he lost the first time on Contender Series, comes back, gets a win, and it was a good win on Contender Series too. And then he debuts against Andre Petrosky, gets a knockout win in Australia. Then he fought Cody Brundage in Australia, finished him as well. Didn't look as good as his debut, but still looked pretty good. And then now he's fighting Robert Brychek here, and he's decent, coming off of a win over Brad Tavares, in which he finished him, and that was a pretty good fight. And a lot of people didn't really like him before that fight, but I think he's solid. Cam Rousden, bigger, has longer reach, and I am definitely just a pretty big fan of Cam Rousden, and I hope he does very well in the UFC. I don't think he's gonna win the championship or even be in that top 5 ever, but he's definitely like a 10 to 15 guy, and one day hopefully. And I think he'll get the win here. I have him winning by second round finish, second round KO or TKO. But yeah, this will be a fun one to end the prelims off for sure. As we move on to the main card, we have Tai Tuivasa somehow getting another fight in the UFC. I don't understand how he does it, but he's back again. 5-fight losing streak. I mean, I will say he was ranked for all 5 of those losses, and all 5 of his losses are to ranked guys. I mean, I don't think Rosenstruck is ranked anymore, but like Taliesin Teixeira, Tybura, Volkov, Pavlovich, all good, all like not bad losses, but it's just it's how he looks out there. He looks like shit. He just is not good. He looks like an absolute blob out there. And we just keep bringing him in for the Australian cards. If he loses to Louis Sutherland, like, I don't want to see Tai Tuivasa ever again. I thought he should have been cut after his last loss because he just looked so dog shit. And Taliesin Teixeira is not good either. He did not look good either. Somehow he is fighting Sergey Pavlovich next. That just shows you how dog shit the heavyweight division is. But Tai Tuivasa is so dog shit, but I want him to win this fight. And I want him to win this fight because why not? Who doesn't want to see Tai Tuivasa win? Um, you know, size is about the same here. Louis Sutherland's probably one of the worst fighters I've ever seen. I mean, he's just so dog shit. He was supposed to be fighting Sean Sheriff, who is also just not good either. Like, they are trying to get Tai Tuivasa a win so bad. If he loses to Louis Sutherland, he's got to be done. Because you tried to get him Sean Sheriff, who is 0-2 in the UFC, has 6 total fights in his career. Louis Sutherland might be worse than Sean Sheriff. He might be. Louis Sutherland's actually absolutely horrible. Gets finished instantly by Walter Walker with the heel hook. I don't understand what they practice in their training camps leading up to fights with Walter Walker to where he has 4 in a row, but that's besides me. Brando Pericic gets knocked out in the first 2 minutes. We'll talk about him in the next fight. But, I mean, Louis Sutherland's just absolutely garbage. And if he can beat Tai Tuivasa, I mean, okay. Good win, I guess. And you can stay in the UFC for a little bit longer. But Tai Tuivasa, he needs to be out of here. If he doesn't win this, he's done. I mean, he's got to be done. But I think it'd be awesome for him to win in Australia. So I'm gonna roll with him. I got him first round KO just because I think Louis Sutherland's just complete dog shit. So yeah. But this is a tough one to pick. I mean, I wonder what the betting odds have it. Tai Tuivasa minus 205. I mean, that makes sense. He just should destroy him. So hopefully that's what happens. As we move on to another heavyweight fight, this one's going to be a lot better. Shamil the Blob Gaziev versus Brando Pericic. Shamil, I do like quite a bit. He's obviously kind of like a fan favorite, 3-2 in the UFC, lost to Rosenstruck. But then, he doesn't really have any good wins in the UFC. Like Thomas the Train Peterson's his best win. I like Thomas the Train Peterson. I think, he's kind of like just one of those like low-key dog shit people that I like. But like, he just lost to Waldo. Like, that's not a bad loss at all. And then now he's fighting out the rankings against Brando Pericic, who made his debut against Elijah Ellison, which that fight was supposed to be on Dana White's Contender Series, but it got put onto the Dubai pay-per-view last year, the Tom Aspinall card. And he ended up coming out and getting a quick finish over him, and then he fought Louis Sutherland's dog shit ass and got a quick finish over him. Brando Pericic is a good heavyweight prospect for sure. But I'm gonna roll with Shamil Gaziev here. I know he doesn't have any great wins, but I mean obviously Pericic doesn't either. I just like Gaziev a lot more, and I just hope that he wins. And I think this is a pretty big step up for Brando Pericic and the guys he's fought. So I mean I'm gonna roll with Gaziev. It's got a damn near pick him right now in the betting odds. So, but I'm gonna pick Gaziev here. I'm going to go with the Blob. As we move on to Reki, Marwin is this up-and-coming prospect. Sorry for the pause there. I don't know what the fuck just happened. But he's, this prospect that just kind of puts on bangers. His Contender Series fight was a war. His debut against Harry Hardwick was a war, and I love me some Harry Hardwick. I mean, he ended up breaking his jaw. in that fight, and it ended up being in a corner stoppage because he just couldn't go on anymore. I don't know who he was supposed to fight, or because it doesn't say it here. I don't know what like this situation was, or if it's like short notice from the UFC, but they threw him on this card against Ali Schmid, and let's be real, he's probably mid. Like, no pun intended. I've never heard of him. Obviously, he doesn't have a picture. He's on a 3-fight win streak in the regional scene. He's Australian, which is cool. But I think Marwin, like, like if I'm not mistaken, he has Australian ties somehow. That's not the flag he represents, but I want to say either trains there or, is maybe from there, but like just represents another country. But I mean, this should be a murder. I have it second round KO. It could be third. It's just they're 145ers, and Marwin to me just kind of plays down to his competition. Not saying that he's even like all that good, but like he's better than the two guys he's fought, and he kind of just plays down. Like he could literally, he's just one of those guys that just like he's like knockout or is gonna get knocked out. You know what I mean? It's a full out war when he fights. You never really know what you're gonna get, and that's gonna eventually bite him in the ass. I don't think it's gonna happen in this fight, and I will say this matchmaking is actually pretty decent for Marwin because I know it's like a debuting guy who's 4-2 overall in his career, 25. But I mean, Marwin's literally 23 years old. We do not need to be pushing this guy yet. We've seen how crazy he fights. He's going to get knocked out if he fights anyone super, super technical or super, or like a vet of the game. We need to build him up slow, kind of like what I said about Damian Penis. We need to be building these guys up slow. They're so young, they're so raw, and I think he'll come out and get a finish victory that will up his stock even more. As we move on to this fight, Tim Elliott versus Steve Erceg. Honestly, this is probably one of my least favorite fights on the card. Steve Erceg is cool. I like Steve Erceg. Tim Elliott, I don't really care for Tim Elliott. Not my favorite person in the world. As I got a notification there. But not my favorite person in the world. Not my favorite fighter, I guess I should say. I don't know him personally. 39 years old, though. He's a little bit shorter, a little bit less reach. But he's been finishing dudes. And, the guys he's been finishing are guys that I like. So that's maybe why I don't like him as much. He finished Kai Osakore's last time out. And he's going to be with Steve Erceg, who, 30 years old. He fought for the belt against Pantoja and then lost to Kai Kara France and then lost to Brandon Moreno. But he finally got that bounce back win over Ode Osborne. Good win for him. But here's the thing. Like, Tim Elliott, 39 years old at flyweights, crazy. But he's a vet. This fight is one that I literally have not even really picked yet. So I'm still just trying to just kind of looking. I think I'm going to go Tim Elliott decision though. I don't think he finishes Steve Erceg. But Tim Elliott just is a vet, man. And I think he'll get out there and he'll craft his way to a decision. He's just so awkward, and his stand-up's awkward. He'll get you to the ground. He'll get you in submission attempts. I think he's going to point fight his way to a victory, unfortunately. I do want Steve Erceg to win, though. I do really want Steve Erceg to win. But I think Tim Elliott's going to get that W, and I have it going by decision. As we move on to the co-main event of the evening, we have Beneil Dariush versus Quillan Salkill. So, Quillan Salkill, obviously, if you watched one of my more recent videos, my favorite prospects in the UFC, you guys need to go check that video out. It's doing pretty well. I put a lot of time and effort into that video, so it would really, I would really appreciate if you guys checked it out. Quillan Salkill is my favorite lightweight prospect, and I think he has a great career ahead of him. Only 26. He's got really good size for lightweight, and just the way he's been fighting recently, I really think that he can be very good. Now, I'm glad he's getting a fight in the rankings against Beneil Dariush. I think this is a perfect matchup for him. But I do hope that they don't just try to skyrocket him, because I don't know if he's all the way there yet. He's still got to get a few more victories before he fights in the top 5. Because lightweight's super competitive. There's a lot of good lightweights, especially at the top. but I think he'll definitely get a win over Benil Dariush. Dariush's chin is completely gone. Benoit Saint-Denis finishes him in 16 seconds. He somehow gets a decision victory over Maikano, but even before then, like, gets finished in a minute by Arman. Like, Arman's not even known for his striking. Oliveira gets a TKO on him. Like, it's kind of tough with him. Obviously, crafty vet, but I think this will be probably his last fight. I think he'll get finished here by Quillen Salkill in the first round. Quillen Salkill can beat you anyway, He doesn't have any great wins in the UFC, but I think he'll end up getting a nice crafty win here in the first round, and I think he'll knock him out in the first round just because that chin is just completely gone. But I'm looking forward to this one for sure. As we move on to the main event of the evening. Honestly, like, I know a lot of people going back and forth on this one, who they think's gonna win. This is a tougher one to pick. This is one of the best fight night main events we're gonna have and we've had, and this is gonna be a great fight. I love Carlos Prates. I think he's so likable. He's so good. He's so fun to watch. Great personality. JDM, on the other hand, former champion. Decent personality. Not as likable of a fighter, but he's also still a good, fun fighter. Great boxing. Prates, obviously, with the knockout power, and just continuously shows that in all of his fights. But this one wasn't all that tough for me. I do think JDM is going to be getting the victory. I even have it fourth round TKO. I think JDM, he doesn't have like the power that Prates does. But he has the better boxing techniques, and I think this is going to just be a stand and bang situation. And I think JDM can just stay out of the way of those big power shots from Prates, get him into those late rounds, and then I think he will find a finish at some point. I could see this going decision, but as of now, I'm sticking with that fourth or fifth round TKO for JDM. In my opinion, I really do love Prates, but I've said this, when he knocked out Jeff Neal. I said this when he knocked out Leon Edwards. He's not like a top of the tier kind of guy. He's like, he could be in that top five, that 4 or 5, and then, 6, 7, that kind of area. But he's not going to, in my opinion, and this might be a hot take, because he literally could knock out JDM and then fight Islam at some point, or fight for a vacant belt if Islam retires. Or, I don't think he's going to fight Ian Gary again if Ian Gary beats Islam, because they just recently had fought. But I don't see Prates ever fighting for the title. I just don't see him, and if he does, I don't see him ever becoming champion. I don't think he takes the sport as serious as some of the other guys. But that's just how I feel. Obviously, behind the scenes, it could be a lot different. I do love Carlos Prates. I would rather Carlos Prates win, but I just think JDM's going to outcraft him. He's just going to point fight kind of his way to a decision, or maybe find a late round TKO. But I think this will be a great fight. Good height advantage for Carlos Prates, good reach advantage for him as well. Those will help him out. But like I said, JDM's a great boxer, and I think he'll be able to weather the storm of Prates and get that late round finish or decision. But yeah, so that's going to be my breakdown and predictions of UFC Fight Night, Della Maddalena versus Prates. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If I missed to mention anything, or if I failed to mention anything, or if you guys think otherwise, let me know. Any constructive criticism on the content or the channel is welcome as well. And also make sure you guys subscribe and leave a like. And I'll see you guys next time.